Hello, welcome to the video. Today, introducing you to my new design. I finally finished it. Woo! Taken a little while. Yeah, it's our bag. It can be a shoulder bag. It can be a crossbody bag. You just got to measure what body part you want to hang it off of, and yeah, away you go. What I thought I would do with this design, it's now available on my Ko-fi page. There'll be a link in the description. And I thought I would make a video on how to do the crocodile stitch because I have had some inquiries and it's in this pattern, as you can see. So this video is how to do the crocodile stitch. To make crocodile stitch, you need to have two rows. You need to have a setup row and you need to have the scale making row. Your first row, your setup row, should be on the reverse of your fabric. So this is the back of my fabric. And for this pattern, I have some plain stitches worked first, and then we'll go into doing the first part of the crocodile stitch, which is a V-stitch. So on my pattern, I skip one, and then I do a V-stitch into here. And if you haven't done a V-stitch before, it is just a double crochet, a chain, and then another double crochet. Like that. So that's our double crochet. Your pattern may have no chain here, it may have one chain, two chain, or whatever, but it will be a V-stitch on the back. And then we skip one and do two double crochets. So that's one double crochet and then two double crochets. And then we skip another one and do a second V-stitch. One double crochet, chain one, and then another double crochet, and then skip another one and do two double crochets. You will always have a single stitch between the V stitches. So that's that one, and then we'll skip another one and do the last V stitch. That's for this pattern. Your pattern might be different. The principle is the same to do the stitch though. And then for my pattern, I skip one. I'll just do this one so you can see. I skip one and then the rest of the row is the double crochets because I'm only doing belly feathers on, this is my owl bag, so I'm only doing feathers across the belly. So I'll be back in a minute once I've done that, and I'll show you how to do the other side. Alright, so I have double crocheted to the end of that row, so that this here is the row we were doing with the V stitches. See them there and there. So my pattern, I double crocheted in the row, then I chained one, and then I single crocheted back. Now, this is the scale row, and this should be a shorter stitch. It might be half double crochet, but it won't be a full double crochet because you're going to drop down to the V stitches, so you can't have the stitch too high. So I've gone here. Now you will probably be skipping one stitch before we do the scales. And for the crocodile stitch for this pattern, it is double crochets, but what we're doing, I'm going to bring it up so you can see, we are wrapping them around the side of the V stitch. So what I generally do is I pinch it so it's clear, and then I do the double crochets. And so they all are going around the first leg of the V stitch. So that's 2, 3, 4, and 5. It's generally always an odd number. Most often it is 5, so that's that. So we fold it out and then we set up for the other side. So now I'll just put that down so you can see it. That's half the scale done. This is where our last stitch was, and they've gone down there. So now we're going on the other side of the V. So this is the one here. We've already gone down the first side. We go under, and then we work our way back up again. So this is 5 again. There is no chain between them on this pattern. If you want a point, like a dragon scale, you would put chains at the bottom. I just do this. I will do more than one. I just get one completed, then I'll do the next one slower. Like so. These are just normal DCs, so there's 4 there now. And one more. Alright, so that's our completed scale. Let me just pull that out. So there's that. That's our scale sitting on the V stitch. So with my pattern, we are single crocheting 2, so that's these 2 DCs that were between the V stitches last time, like so. And now we're going to do a croc again. On my pattern it's written crocked, but crocodile stitch. So that's a crocodile stitch scale, and then on the back it looks like that. Very neat on the back. So on this one, we don't skip a stitch in this pattern, and around the first leg of the V with double crochets. I have seen it done with extended double crochets. I've also seen it done with half double crochets. It's the same principle. You are wrapping around the first leg of the V stitch from the previous row. How many we got? 4, and then 5. And what I might do just on this one, I might show you how you do the point. So if you wanted a point, I would do a picot. So that's 3 stitches, and then back into the first, and then do the second part. I'll just show you this. This is on the other side of the V stitch. 2, working back up. 3, 4, and 5. I'll just pull that up so you can have a look, flatten them out. So that's your point. You see the difference between the two? It has a point on it. This one doesn't. I'm actually going to take this out because this pattern I'm doing now doesn't need it. But that is how you do the scale part of Crocodile Stitch. So just get rid of this picot that I don't need. Make sure we had 5. Yes. So turn your work, and if you can see, this is the one we go up. So under there, I pinch it back so that I'm only working on that one, and we're working from the, pull them down to the bottom so you've got enough room to do it. 2, 3, oh, don't split the stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We do our 2 single crochets between. Like I said, your pattern may have, oh, I missed the first one. Oops. Screech it back. 1 and 2. Your pattern may only have 1 between. It depends on what works. This one, it's a bag, so it's going to be a bit denser. So I only have 1 more to do here. And it's the same thing again. We do 5 going down this side of the V stitch. What's that? 3, 4, and 5. So that's half. You see on this side, half done. Put up the loop for the next one, and then this here is the other side of the V stitch, underneath and then up. And this is going up the V-stitch, so you've got to pull it down, just so you have enough room to hang this off. Now there is a stitch called sequin stitch, and what that is like I said before, you might do on your first round no chains between the V-stitch, and then you do more, I think it's 7 on each side, and it makes nearly a perfect circle, and they actually join them up. But we're just doing a normal crocodile stitch here. So that's our 3 crocodile stitches hung off the V-stitches of the row below. And then with mine, we skip one, so we skip that one there and go into the next one, and then I single crochet across. Now I will be back just to show you how to hang off the next row, because you need to know where to put him. Yeah, so I have turned the corner and I have done my DCs that I needed to do to get me to where I needed to be. This is where our scale is on the other side. Now I have stopped short of the scale, and in my pattern I've got a skip one, so that's the one where the scale joins. And if you remember, we skipped one on the previous row, and that's the one that we're going into. And this one is going to be a V-stitch, which is what my pattern says. So that one's sitting right there, because these scales for this pattern, they're offset. So there's that one. Then my next, we're going to do a single double crochet into the center of the V-stitch of the scale of the previous row. So I'll just show you that. So that's the V-stitch, that's the double crochet on its own, and then I'll show you the other side. This is our V-stitch. This is the single double crochet that goes here. And then the next part is we want to put a V-stitch. Now we see where our 2 scales come to. This is the first one. This is the second one starting. Now we want to go into either one of these. I'm going to go for that one. No, actually I'll go for that one. It's, on my pattern it's either. So we do a V-stitch here. And then the next one I'm doing is a single one into the middle of the scale on the row below. And then this one is the same one. So we had 2 here. I'm going for the furthest one. Like I said, your pattern might be different here. The thing that will be the same is you're going to have the V-stitches between the ones. See, that was the last row's V-stitch there. This is the new V-stitch over here. So they're offset. And then you will have a single stitch, usually a double crochet, right in the center of the scale from below. Now we do another one here. This is in the one below. And then this is, just going to make sure we get it right. That's their skipped one there. So that's where we're putting the last one here. Chain one in there. Now I'll just pause in a minute to show you. So we should have 4 V-stitches. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'll turn it over so you can see. They're a little bit harder to see on this side. It's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And go back. And then for my one, we skip one, so that will be that one there, skipping that one, and then I'm finishing the row in double crochets. So I will be back in a minute. I'm going to do the rest of this then I'll chain one and come back, and I'll just show you how to put the second row on top of the first, and that will be how you do the crocodile stitches. Just show you that on the other side. So you've got the next hanging row done. Alright, so I've turned and I've come back. This is my pattern, yours might be different. And I am one stitch away from the last V stitch from the last row. So now we are doing the same thing. So we got 5 going down, 4, and one more is 5, and then turn your work, and then you're hooking around the other half of the V and going back up, same way as we did the other scales. A little bit hard to see at the moment. I do understand that, but I will show you. So that's 4. One more. I'll just pull that out a bit and so I can show you. So this one is just overlapping the one below. Like you see that? Just wiggle it a bit tighter. Wiggle that a bit tighter. This is for the chest of an owl, so they're not quite offset. They're a little bit less offset than they should be. This one should be over a little bit more, but because this is for a chest of an owl, we wanted them a little bit more overlapping. So that's that one. So then we just make sure from my pattern. Now you see this one here, we single crochet that. I'll show you that one again. This is end, and you see that single double crochet there? That's the one we want, and we just do a single crochet there, and then we wrap around the first V of the next stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, and 5. And just, what I might do, pull that one down so you can see it. Because you've got to scrunch it up so much, it makes it a little bit hard to see. So that's the first half of our second scale. Once I do the other side, it'll sit better, but you can see how it's sitting and overlapping the ones from the row below. So we'll tighten this up, make sure we have 5, yes we do, and then do like this and go around the other half of the V. Now make sure you're only going around the V stitch, you're not catching any other stitches in it, because that does happen. 2, 3, keep pulling it out so you can see that where you're going. 4 and 5. 5. I'm sorry, I keep knocking the table. So that's that one done. Get that out of the way. That's our first 2 scales done. And then you pull this back a little bit. There is the DC that we're going to single crochet to. And then we do the next one. So under to the front, always like that. And we want to put 5 here. 1, 2, 3, like so, and then turn it so that you can see the next stitch, which is this one here. It's the other half of the V-stitch that we made. I do apologize if you can't really see what I'm doing. I am trying to show you. These are just normal DCs. Make sure you keep spreading it out so you can see where to place your stitches. 3, 4, and 5. It does make quite a tight crochet fabric, so just be aware of that. We'll flatten it out. So now we have 3, and see how these ones are over the join of the ones below. That's what I mean by offset. Single crochet into the single double crochet that we had there, and then into the next one. And 5 more. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Flip your work the other way so it's a bit easier. And here is our last double crochet that we're wrapping around. 1, 2, 3, 4, and the last one is 5. And so that's our last crocodile stitch done. Make sure you flatten them down. Blocking can help make them lay flat for you, and that is how you do the crocodile stitch. So every setup row, I'll just pull this long, every setup row should have V-stitches followed by a single, V-stitch, single, V-stitch, single, and then your single should sit in the middle of the V-stitches below. Because this one is a spreading one, I have to keep moving my outer ones outwards. But that's the principle of crocodile stitch. Your setup rows alternating V stitches and single double crochets. V stitch, single double crochets. And then your scale row is however many working down. So 5 down, 5 up, and then you secure between them in the single stitch that is the row below. And you just keep going. But it is a yarn eater, so be aware of that. If you're creating, make sure that you allow enough yarn for it. And it does get quite tight. As this is a bag, that's great because we want it quite firm. If you were using crocodile stitch on clothing, I would try and do it in a bigger hook, just so that it moves better. Unless it's like on a lapel or something, when it doesn't matter if it's a little bit tighter. It's like with when I did the dragon scale gloves a little while ago, I actually used a bigger hook where the scales are, just so that it spread it a little bit for the hands to move. Yeah, so I hope that's understandable. You got any questions, please put them in the comments. I can do another one maybe in more contrasting yarn, but I just thought I was making this anyway, so I thought I'd show you.